What's up, Jags fans? Oh, sorry for yelling on the intro, but I feel like it's been so long since we've gotten to have a talk about the Jags because we have some news going on today, boys. We have the transition and franchise tag window is officially open. So we got some people, Juwan Taylor, Evan Engram, obviously both candidates for those tags. We'll see what happens. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to get into all things Jags. We're talking Beathard getting an extension. We're talking things like what we got a new passing game coordinator. A lot going on here in the offseason. Appreciate you guys that are watching. Go back and watch the last couple of videos. We've had some great interviews lately with some people. Make sure to subscribe to the channel while you're here, just so that you get notifications when we go live. We typically do shows Tuesdays and Friday nights. We started this show a little early tonight. Honestly, just because I wanted to get on Twitch in a little bit. So after this show, directly after this show, I'm going on to Twitch and, doing that kind of thing. So the link to my Twitch is in the description of the video. So go subscribe to the Twitch as well. Twitter, Instagram, all that's on there. Go follow so we can talk about all of those things. I'm super excited. This is a fan show. If this is your first time here or first time watching, it's a fan show. So get into the comments and let me know what you think. If you can't make the live, just go back on the VOD and rewatch it. And let me know what you think on Twitter or in the YouTube comments and all of that stuff. So super excited. We always give a shout out to the first person in the chat. Raiden Shogun, Pokey, who has been streaming on Twitch as well, who I've been seeing. So shout out to you, Pokey. Appreciate you being here. Cameron Boisvert, my boy Cam, says, hell yeah. And he says, I definitely want to hear your opinion on the new passing game coordinator. Okay. All right. The Great Mistake Bozo says hi. Rubicon Racer says, Jalen is on the trade block. What are we giving? Ooh, we'll get there. We'll get a little Jalen Ramsey talk going there soon. So that leads me to my next point. Somehow leads me to my next point of it's also on podcast. So if you the shows are on podcast, if you like to listen to it rather than watch it, go to Spotify. Jaguars United. We're there. Hashem says W. Here we go. So let's jump right into it, man. Let's jump right into the show. Beathard coming back. I think he had a 2-year extension. They got him for pretty cheap for what you want from a backup quarterback. Now listen, people have nothing bad to say about Beathard. I mean, 11 attempts, 35 passing yards, 1 interception last year. There's not much to dislike about Beathard. Trevor Lawrence multiple times in interviews has talked about how Beathard is like a friend to him, one of his good friends. Listen, if you got a guy like Trevor, I've said time and time again, do what it takes to make Trevor happy. Do what it takes to keep him here. And if he likes Beathard being in the locker room with him, a backup quarterback nowadays is essentially another coach to be in the film room. If your starting quarterback goes down, most of the time you're out of luck. Now, I know the Eagles went on and won with Nick Foles. I know that. But just speaking typically, you lose your quarterback, you're pretty much out the window. A 57.6 overall grade last year, only 12 snaps. Was in the second half, I think, was it the Texans game? I can't remember what game it was he came in. 12 dropbacks, 11 attempts, 35 passing yards. Just not a guy that you're going to be pumped about. But again, if Trevor's happy, I'm happy, and that's all that matters. So there's not really much to say about that. I mean, I know some people, I read on Reddit, people were talking about they wanted some other people to come in just in case Trevor got hurt. But Trevor's the future. So regardless, that's where we're going to go with that. So here we are. We got that's the breaking news out of the way. A new passing game coordinator was hired. So it was interesting. They brought in Nick Foles, not Nick Foles, but Nick Foles, who was most recently the offensive coordinator at UNLV, University of Northern Las Vegas. Before that, he had spent 10 years with the Raiders. So he had coached, and before that, he was coached in the Pac-12. So he's worked with guys like Derek Carr, Andrew Luck, Carson Palmer, Hunter Renfrow, Nelson Aguilar. I mean, you can point to guys that people have worked with in the past. Cool. But the reality of it is, and again, maybe this is all, we're all friends in the NFL, but he's one of Press Taylor's good friends. And there's not a lot to say about him as a person. I mean, I couldn't really figure out what type of offense he ran. I mean, he had such a limited sample size at UNLV. UNLV's kind of been known for the run and shoot offense, the type of Pac-12 guys that kind of go out there and just throw every play. Haven't watched much about him, so I can't say much. But if Nick Foles is friends with Press Taylor, who Doug Peterson likes, he's cool with me. Listen, there seems to be some sort of recipe for success out of this Andy Reid tree. So, they're getting hired left and right, whether it's Frank Reich or Strachan, or, whoever it may be, any of these guys that are coming from the Andy Reid tree. Bieniemy just got the assistant head coaching, offensive coordinator, play calling duties in Washington. So this seems to be the tree to hire from. We thought it was the Sean McVay tree there for a little bit, but Andy Reid seems to be the one. So I'm happy. Doug Peterson, if Doug Peterson, if he passes his vibe check, he passes my vibe check. That's for sure. DTWD TV says, I'm a little late, was grabbing Panda, but he says, I'm here. Duval. I love Panda Express. When I was in college, I probably ate Panda Express at least once a week. At least. Orange chicken, double orange chicken with noodles. Goodness, man. If I could eat that nowadays, if I eat like one carb nowadays, I get fat. Literally. Like, don't get old. Don't get old, folks. Hosh says common Jags W. That's right. Timmy Devil 999 says, we here, baby. Let's go, Timmy. Jaggernaut says, been a while, Jags United. Hope you're good. Yeah, I mean, I haven't done as many shows. I took like a week or so off after the Super Bowl. Mental health reasons, come on. I'm just kidding. I've been on Twitch actually a lot. I don't know. I've been gaming. What do you want me to say? Hope you're good too, Jaggernaut. Appreciate you, the well wishes there. Sometimes we forget that we're all people, But yeah, so working with the guys like Hunter Renfrow, Aguilar, Carson Palmer. Yeah, I mean, cool. Don't think he'll have as big of an impact on the team. I mean, I like having guys like Jim Bob Cooter and Mike McCoy. And, I like having these guys, even Press Taylor to a certain extent. But it all comes down to Doug Peterson. I mean, yeah, you want to have good coaches around you, but if you've been in the Andy Reid coaching tree, like at what point does it become an echo chamber of the same thoughts and ideas? And not that that's a bad thing, but that's probably what it is. Like, they all use the same terminology, which is a bonus, same concepts. I like it. Keep it in the family, as they say. Keep it in the family. Okay, so that's the breaking news. That's actually all the breaking news. It was their wide receivers coach. Yeah, I did see the new wide receivers coach again. Don't care. You got guys like Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones. How much do they need to coach? I'm being real with you guys. I'm being real. Like, they know how to run routes. They know how to release off the line of scrimmage. These guys are just extra film guys. They're extra scouts. They're extra eyes to look at film for opposing defenses and kind of helping. I keep wanting to say Andy Reid. Keep wanting to help Doug Peterson call the right plays and put them in the best situation to win. So it's more of their like minds, football minds that I want more than their like coaching skills. If that makes sense to any of you guys. We don't have a lot of like young guys in the wide receiver room that we like need to develop, unless we draft one, in which case maybe he will become important. Transition tag, franchise tag. Evan Engram, Juwan Taylor, there's been a lot of talk. And the things that I'm hearing recently are all about how people want to keep Juwan Taylor and get rid of Cam Robinson. And while this is possible, like I'm not saying this isn't possible, it's just like not done very often. If we take a look at Juwan Taylor's like offensive grades by game, this is PFF. And again, some people could care less about PFF, and that's fine. But it just kind of gives us a good indicator here. We're looking at things like he had a great game against Indy. Let's go blue so y'all can see. He had a great game against Indy with an 80.5 rating, one of his best games of the year. He had a great pass blocking game against Baltimore. Very good pass blocking game against Indy week 2. I think everybody played well against Indy in week 2, though, to be fair. Scroll down to the bottom half of the season. Not great showing here from week 16 on. And again, these are PFF grades. I know, people. I know. And it typically is his run blocking grade that's kind of bringing him down. I mean, these are pretty low scores for a run blocker. And his pass blocking grade here is pretty good. So this is pass, this is run. So I get it. I get that you want Trevor to be upright. And listen, I've been banging the drum for help for Trevor literally since we knew we had the first pick. something about me kind of wants a more complete offensive lineman because hang with me here. Yes, on passing plays, we want a good pass blocking tackle. But if we can get a tackle that can run block better and then we're more successful on run plays, does that help Trevor more than a guy who's marginally better at pass blocking? You see what I'm saying? Like, is a better established running game? I think we were like 16th in the league in rushing, and we were a much better rushing team in the beginning of the season when we had James Robinson and Travis Etienne than we were in the end of the season. Like, does having a dangerous, scary run game help Trevor more than these marginal numbers this way? And again, these maybe they're not marginal. These are pretty big jumps, but I don't know. Maybe it's the offense. Maybe it's the way they run. Ultimately, it comes down to like what the coaches want and like the schemes. Like they know the plays that were called. If we look at his grades consistently through his career, I mean, your average is about 60. And again, like good. And like in the NFL, you either have a tackle or you don't. But I just don't know if, and I know he didn't miss any snaps. He was much better on his penalties this year and the holdings. But, I mean, do you lose a lot with Walker Little? I mean, if you don't like Walker Little, could you draft a guy in the first round that you like better and keep Walker Little as a swing tackle? I don't know. DTWDTV says, I know that PFF does a good job. It's crazy, though, because Taylor seemed much better than these grades, right? Just felt like it was better. Weird. So here's the thing, DTWD. You make a very good point. What you have to realize is, like, these numbers, like, aren't actually that bad. Like, we see these, like, all-pro dudes and pro bowlers with these, like, 80 scores. So to have a guy like Juwan, like, these scores aren't terrible. If we looked at offensive linemen from opposing teams that we played, they're much, much lower. Much, much lower. I mean, even the Chiefs, I mean, they had one of the best offensive lines, I thought, in the league, obviously. But their right tackle, his name is slipping my mind right now, his scores were way lower than Juwan Taylor's. So scores aren't everything. I will say that. But when we're talking about paying a guy as much money as Juwan Taylor is going to get on the open market, Juwan Taylor is going to get a ton of money on the open market because he's the perfect candidate for a team that has money to spend, to overspend on him, right? Like Christian Kirk was that guy last year. Brandon Sheriff was that guy last year. They were the perfect candidates to get paid a lot of money. That's Juwan Taylor. And the Jags just aren't in a situation where they have a lot of money. So that's the only thing. The more that time is going on and we're not using the franchise tag on him, I don't know. I mean, it seems like the Jaguars want to keep everybody. I mean, the Jaguars team is talking about, and the players and the agents are talking about how they're having great conversations with everybody from Juwan Taylor to Evan Engram to Arden Key. So, like, we don't know. We haven't seen any restructuring happen yet. So, I don't know. Maybe we see a little bit of restructuring here soon. I don't know. Just interesting thing to think about. He's probably going to get priced out of our range as much as I would love to keep him. Again, and I'm a guy that wants to invest in the offensive line. If we cannot re-sign Juwan Taylor, I want to draft an offensive lineman in the first round. And I know we have Walker Little, but Cam Robinson's got an injury history. Walker Little's got an injury history. We don't even know if Walker Little can play right tackle. You need to have a swing tackle anyways. Like, it's a sixth lineman has become as important as a third defensive back. That's the bottom line. And you can disagree with me all you want, but how many teams, every single team is going to go to a sixth offensive lineman? Like, it doesn't matter who you are. No one is keeping all five guys healthy all year. So how much less important is that than a nickel back who you know you're going to need and use, but I don't know. I mean, can you think of a time the Jags have ever had all five guys healthy? Probably not. So if Trevor Lawrence is your number one priority, and we're talking about spending all this money on guys like Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley and bringing in guys like, DeAndre Hopkins or the dude from Cincinnati, bringing in those guys, like, you got to protect them. You got to give them time. And so, I don't know. I'm a big guy. I believe in the trenches, and I think you can make the pieces around you work if you have time. Robert Adsert says, trade Cam. Walker is better at left tackle anyways, and sign Taylor. He isn't worth a franchise tag. Yeah. I don't know what value you'll get for Cam. So I guess the question becomes for you, Robert, and I know a lot of people agree with you. Like, what's the lowest you would take for Cam? Like, realistically, like, because you probably have to eat a lot of his contract. Not a lot, but just what you've paid him so far, which, it seemed front loaded, as front loaded as his long-term deal could be. How much of that are you going to take on? Like, it's and what are you going to, I mean, are you going to dump him? Are you going to do just a little dump? Like, are you going to take a 4th round pick? Is 4th too low? Is third too low? Because guys that want a 1st or 2nd, that's not happening. Like, I just don't know. And again, I don't know. Cameron Boisvert says, I feel like the Jags are known for not keeping our picks past the first contract. I'd like us to be here to stay. I'd like us to be a here to stay destination. Maybe part of the culture change. So I think, Cam, one thing that I would, again, and I could be wrong here, but one thing that I think us as fans have to kind of constantly remind ourselves of, and this is me included, is that we view the team through a lens of a longitudinal timeline, the entire career of the Jaguars. We look back at picks from the 90s, the 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, and we say we can never keep players here. The owners, GMs, team presidents, they look at the team in the scope of who was my staff. And right now we have a staff that's realistically been here for a year. I know Balky's been here longer, but as like the main guy GM and Doug Peterson, they've been here for a year. So I don't think new players coming into the league, agents, free agents, I don't think they're looking at the Jags through the scope of lens that we are. I think they're like the new team, new Jags. I mean, we're already seeing it in a lot of things. I mean, even from free agents just hinting at wanting to come here. That's never happened. So I think that it's okay to have a past and to look at the past, but I think it's also okay to say we're having a new culture. I think you hit it right on the head, a culture change. So, I don't want to keep a player just because in the past we've never kept guys. Like, let's keep players that are worth the money. Let's keep players that can contribute to the team. And I am by no means not saying that Juwan Taylor is not worth it. And this is our job as people that talk about the team and as fans. We talk about this type of thing, but we could talk ourselves blue in the face. And the bottom line is we know 10% of what's happening with this team. We're not in the meetings. We're not at practices. We're not in the film room. We don't know what's happening. We can speculate off of body language and cryptic tweets and things like that. But at the end of the day, we don't know anything. They could love Juwan Taylor. They could say, hey, Juwan, you know what? Go out and test yourself on the market, and if you get $3 million more than we're offering you, then go. And Juwan may say, hey, I want to go test the open market. If I get overly paid by somewhere, I'm going to go. Look what happened with Calais Campbell. Do you remember the video of Calais Campbell on the phone when the Jaguars offered him $18.5 million and his next highest deal was $16 million? That $2.5 million was enough to make him pick the Jaguars over his hometown Broncos. So maybe it's a situation where Juwan Taylor and his camp are saying, let's go see if someone will pay us $2.5 million more than we're worth, according to the market, because they're worth what they pay them. You know what I mean? So we don't know. They could have already had that conversation with the Jaguars, saying, listen, I'm going to hit the open market. If some team pays me a bunch of money, I'm leaving. If they don't, I'm coming back. Same could be said with Evan Engram. That's the thing. And so it's fun to speculate and talk, but at the end of the day, we don't know. So that leads us to the next guy. Evan Engram. That's a guy that a lot of people like. A lot of people are big on Evan Engram. I do want to kind of get to some of these comments here in a second. Robert Adrich says a 4th-round pick is the lowest he would take for Cam Robinson. And they take 90% of the contract. Whew. Yeah, you might be close there, Robert. You might be close. I mean, that would be a great deal for some team, wouldn't it? I mean, that'd be a great deal. Because, again, I say this so much. You either have a tackle or you don't. If you don't have a tackle, like, your team's hurting. It's like a quarterback. It's literally like a quarterback. So, yeah. Jaggernaut says, I hope our new Jags, new all caps, can be resilient to our first place schedule. Yeah, I mean, the Jags are going to be significantly better next year. I don't know what's taking so long with the Calvin Ridley reinstatement. Probably the NFL just wanting to be dramatic, but I don't know. Cam says, I definitely love hearing these rumors of players wanting to come to Jacksonville. Me too, Cam. Me too. All right, let's take a look. These are the grades of Evan Engram. And Evan Engram did get off to a slow start, admittedly. But then he really started to take off here around week 14. And here's the thing, like, again, these numbers don't say everything, but it was visible that he started to go off toward the end of the year. The Jags kind of got away from the run, and not, for better or for worse, but they got away from the run, and then that's when Engram really started to shine. But I've seen he's a top 5 tight end. He's a good player. It's just, I don't know. It's just interesting to look at. I guess looking at his pass grade is probably more fair than looking at his overall grade, because he's not really here to be a pass blocker, although his pass blocking grades are pretty good. I'm not going to lie. And his run blocking grades. So his passing as a receiver grades, I mean, a 92 against Tennessee, and 81 against the Jets, 76 against the Chargers, 71 against the Giants. Those are good grades right there. And listen, the most important thing, he loves Trevor. Trevor loves him. I mean, he's a legit player. He is a legit. Oh, this is much user friendlier. Look at this. Oh yeah, these are his grades with bar graphs. And again, I don't necessarily think these grades are the end all be all. Let's take a look at receiving. So I mean, his targets were pretty. I mean, there were random games where he just wasn't targeted. Like 1 target against Philly, 1 target against Baltimore, 2 targets against Houston, 4 targets against Tennessee, 2 targets against Vegas, 3 against the Chargers. I mean, all of them. So this is what? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 20 games he played this year where he was significantly under where his targets should be. So 13 out of 20 games, he was probably targeted adequately. So maybe that's something that goes up as, the familiarity between him and Trevor come together. But they like him. They like him. He's a big body receiver. And it's the little things that the grades don't show that I really like about him. It's the fighting to get out of bounds, the fighting for the first down, the clutch plays. That's what I like about Evan Engram. And again, you can't quantify that. This is where analytics falls short and for those types of things. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and beat the drum for analytics or beat the drum for eyeball tests. I think there's a mixture somewhere in the middle there between both that makes good talent evaluators good. Is they can look at the numbers and the analytics, and they can look at the things that aren't. Adsert says, Evan Engram interview, he said if we tag him, it would just be to work out a long-term deal. Good. I'm glad he likes it here. DTWD says, I think Engram is tied in 4 or 5 in the NFL overall. Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, George Kittle, and then you could pretty much argue Evan Engram, Pitts, or Schultz. Interesting, Schultz is a free agent. I think Pitts is a better tight end than Engram. But, yeah, 4 or 5. It's not a bad thing now. That is not a bad thing at all. I mean, you'll never hear me complain about having a number 5 tight end in the NFL, considering the history of the Jaguars. DJM says, Jason San. What's up, DJM? Robert Atcher says, you throw the ball to the guy that's open. It's not that complicated. He didn't say the complicated thing. I added that. But okay, I get it. You're saying the targets were there because he wasn't open. Robert, you're probably right. I am probably overcomplicating it. RedJet206 says, how much better could he be with another year in the system? Leaps and bounds or polishing out the little things? So, RedJet, I hate to say this, and I hate to be this guy, okay? And I kind of don't want to say it, but I have to, because you guys know I'm honest, I'm genuine, I speak from the heart. But along that same logic, if we say spending more time in this system only leads to improvement, we have to also say, because you guys know I'm a statistician, I love analytics, I love data, I love that stuff. If we're going to say with more time, he's inevitably going to get better, we also have to say with more time, he's inevitably going to get injured. I hate to say it, but the bottom line is, if we look at his past and look at how things work, it's very rare that Evan Engram plays an entire season without getting injured. It's very rare that anyone plays, not just Evan Engram. It's very rare that any football player plays an entire season without getting injured. In fact, if you pull up any average player, I'm talking about like a median average, not like or a mode average, then there's going to be seasons where you get hurt, like almost all of them. So yeah, he might get better, but maybe he won't play every game. Same with Juwan Taylor, honestly. And again, I hate saying that because I don't want to, but I'm being realistic as someone that follows football and for a long time and looks at stats and tries to find trends and analysis through inquiry. I don't know. DTWD says, talking to text, DTWD, don't you worry. I already figured that out. I got you, brother. Don't you worry. He says Ingram's pretty raw. Evan Engram brings an energy that other tight ends just don't have. That's true. Like that's what I was trying to say. The fighting for the first down, the fighting for to get out of bounds. Like I would pay him just for that. I want him back. Here's my line of thinking, guys, and listen, because I don't want to be misunderstood or misconstrued. My line of thinking is if I'm Evan Engram or if I'm Juwan Taylor, I'm testing what I can get on the open market. Why would I sign in a deal with the Jags because I like to be here when I could get paid more money to be somewhere else? Like these guys have an incredibly short window to make money compared to like normal people, right? They got to make all their money within the tiniest window. The average NFL career is 3 years. So they're already on borrowed time, relatively speaking. Why? I mean, like I said, Calais Campbell came to Jacksonville because we offered him $2.5 million more dollars a year than his hometown. But maybe these guys don't think about it like that. I don't know. DTWD says, I think Engram with Lawrence and Dougie P is perfect. I agree. I like the emoji. Robert Adsert says, having the Calvin Ridley threat opens the field up for everyone. That's a good point. Maybe we're not factoring that in. Maybe that's not fair for me to say if I don't factor that in. If Calvin Ridley comes like we hope, it's about to be wild. Kirk is going to be open a lot. That's a good point. His offense is about to get. What do I need a running back? I hear all these people say, draft a running back. Why? Why are we running the ball? Do what Kansas City does. I mean, I know Pacheco went off at the end of the year, but do what most teams do, and they just throw the short game for their run game. I think with Calvin coming in, we'll let Engram go. Give Luke some more PT. Oh, Luke Farrell. I like Luke Farrell. I don't know why. I just do. It's something about Ohio State tight ends. I don't know what it is. I just like them. Timmy Devil 999 says, the Saints have been in cap hell for years. We don't care. Just sign him to whatever. Sign one and tag the other. It's that simple. Timmy Devil, okay. Okay. Tag one and sign one. I like that. Which one, Timmy, which one would you sign? Which one would you tag? Whoever's willing, or do you have a preference? And to further your point of the Saints being in cap hell, on one side of my brain, I'm thinking that the Saints haven't really been good in a while, but on the other side of my brain, the Vikings have been in a bad cap situation for years, and they've been good. Like where I think we're ranked 27th in cap space. The Vikings have been ranked 27th in cap space 2 out of the last 3 years. So the people that say cap's a myth, kind of, I don't know. Atsert says, like Balky said, cash is king. Ooh, I think Balky was just trying to get a little some money from his boy Shot Khan. Pokey says, imagine if we drafted another tight end and keep Engram. We have 1-2 deadly combo. That's true. There's been years when Peterson's used 2 tight ends. There's been years where his last year in Philly when he didn't have Ertz, he was still productive without a tight end. Honestly, we had anomalous year in terms of overall injuries. I thought for sure Sheriff wouldn't finish out the year. Good point, Red Jet. Sheriff is a soldier. That man, I mean, he had a serious core injury. So much respect for him. Gerald says, speaking of injuries, I would like to see ETN better at knowing when it's time to go down. He seems to take a lot of big hits, got to protect himself and the ball. Good point, Gerald. I got a buddy who, you guys might know who he is, Mike. He's been on the channel a couple times. He's been talking about for a while that every time ETN gets tackled, it looks like he's getting just absolutely crushed. He's not as big as he looks on TV. I mean, I think he's only like 5'10", like 210 pounds. Like, I mean, that's thick for 5'10", but for NFL standards, that's pretty small. So, he takes some serious hits. Callie Jack says 30 people in the live chat with only 10 likes. Give our boy some love. Yeah, come on, guys. Hit the thumbs up button. Come on. Thank you, Callie Jack. I appreciate you looking out for me. I need some people in my corner looking out for me, So I appreciate that, Callie. Cameron Boysford, who's a channel member, so he's looking out. He says, if you drop your Calvin Ridley film breakdown on the day he's reinstated, it's going to blow up. Now, Cam, I'm going to act like that's what I'm doing. I'm going to act like that. DTW says, great show, broski. Glad everyone's here. Thank you, DTW. Appreciate it. Tag on tight end 10 to tag one tight end, $10 to $11 million tackle, $16 million. Tag the tight end. Whew, I don't know. I mean, they said they don't want to use the franchise tag on anybody. I don't like the franchise tag. Don't like it. Does it buy you? I mean, could it work in a situation like Evan Engram? Maybe. But RM Skip has become a channel member. RM Skip, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. He's on the Matt Jones level. Appreciate that. Thank you. It supports the channel. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Jaggernaut says, is a cornerback a possible first pick in the draft? I'd like to draft the trenches, but we locked down the outside. Our pass rush might have enough time to get home. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those chicken and egg things, right? Like, is it like, do you invest in the D line to help the corners, or do you invest in the corners to help the D line, or do you just have both good? Ideally, obviously, you'd want to have both good, but we're in a situation where we clearly are having to prioritize one over the other. So they're both kind of marginal positions. I feel like we have, I don't know. I feel like we have slightly more talent on our D line, but then again, Tyson Campbell is like a top corner in the league. I don't know. That's a chicken and egg thing, man. I don't know. Maybe they do evaluation and see the best player available from those two positions. I'm a trenches guy. Because it's so hard to hit on anything in the draft. So if you're gonna take a gamble on like at least a guy that like could help you. Now I know K'Lavon Chaisson is a example of someone that was just horrible first round pick, but then again, CJ Henderson is an example of someone who's a horrible first round pick at corner. So if you're gonna roll the dice, I don't know. It's a great question. It really is a great question. I mean, we're talking Jaggernaut. We're talking like one of the quintessential questions that NFL GMs and scouts have to answer every day. Joe Drawbon says, money on the offense, draft the defense. Okay. Stones, what up, Stones? Says, hope everyone's doing good. Thank you, Stones. I appreciate that. I'm doing good. Work's been busy. Man, I'm an athletic administrator, for those of you that don't know. Oh, what up? Callie Jag donated $5 to just nothing. No chat, just donating $5. Callie Jag, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for looking out, brother. I really do. Telling people to like the video, donating. I love you. Thank you. Anyways, athletic administrator. We have a soccer team, girls soccer team, boys soccer team. Both my coaches quit on me a month before the season started. They quit on me. Oh, man. So now I'm scrambling to find coaches, and it's been stressful. So I might have to step in and coach one of the soccer teams. So, it's been stressful. My baseball team, a lot of the teams dropped off the schedule. So things are going good, and I'm not going to sit here and complain because I have a job and I work in sports. But at the same time, people just aren't considerate anymore, man. Just not considerate. RM Skip says, I'm live. Tell me what's going on with them Jags. RM, thank you for being a channel member. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. I don't know. Listen, all signs and arrows pointing up for us Jags fans. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And I know I started the show a little early. Again, my bad. We usually start the live shows at 9. If you're someone that watches the shows regularly, we do Tuesdays and Fridays. Although I skipped last Tuesday to be on Twitch. Again, tonight I'm going to be on Twitch. I don't know. Listen, I go through. It's the off season. All right, boys, be patient with me. Timmy says they tagged Cam twice and paid him when the money was freed up. Timmy, don't bring logic into this conversation. Okay, we're talking strictly from emotions today. Timmy. Cuddy Green says, ultimately, if/when the Jags release their contract restructures and clear cap space, That'll tell fans where the team is heading with possible extensions. That's true, Cuddy. And, you have guys like Alua Khan, Kirk, Sheriff, where you could realistically restructure and pay them out their deal and then divvy up the money over a number of years, and that would free you up some cap space. But ultimately, you're kind of sacrificing 2024, 2025 for next year, which may be what they do. Jaggernaut says, do we go interior D-line then? Fingers crossed our edge guys can get sacks. I would like a disruptive interior defensive lineman. I would. There's talks about Josh Allen. I mean, a Bleacher Report article came out about trading Josh Allen for a first-round pick for the Lions. You sign me up. There's no way the Lions do that. There's no way. Why would the Lions give a first-round pick to a potential rental? Oh, well, they'll just extend Josh Allen. Will they? Would you? You might. But would you feel good about it? That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. And if there's something where it's like dicey, I'm not giving a first-round pick. First-round picks are just way too valuable. Second-round pick, maybe we'll talk. And maybe we'll talk for the second-round pick. But you're right, Cuddy. You actually hit that nail right on the head. Do we get Callie Jag says, Callie, thank you. If Fatukasi can play like the Jets knows, we would have a pass rush. Collapse the pocket, and the ends will eat. So the problem with Fatukasi has obviously been the injuries, right? And I know technically he didn't miss a lot of snaps in games, but he felt like he did, and it felt like he was playing at half speed. And maybe just the eyeball test. Maybe, I don't know. So he doesn't pass the eyeball test for me right now. And to be fair, Rayshawn Jenkins and Roy Robertson Harris didn't pass the eyeball test for me last year, and they both proved me wrong this year. So maybe Fatukasi is similar to those guys. Maybe he takes a Shaq Griffin turn and not impressive last year and then not impressive next year. So it's hard to kind of speculate, but he's going to go one way or the other, that's for sure. I just now had a report come across my phone that says the Broncos are eyeing Juwan Taylor. The Broncos have been eyeing Juwan Taylor for a while, and the reason is because the Broncos have a lot of money to pay. And we talked about at the beginning of the show. Juwan Taylor is one of these guys who is a candidate to be overpaid by some team with a lot of money, and there's no shame in that. And I like Juwan Taylor. I remember when he was drafted, I kind of wanted Juwan Taylor in the first round. People thought I was crazy. He was mocked to be a first-round pick, ended up falling to the second round, but he ended up playing like a guy who probably could have been drafted in the first round. So I like to say that I wasn't entirely wrong, even though I was pretty wrong. Atzert says Fatukasi did have a hurt calf muscle. Yeah, it's probably hard to push a 300-pound offensive lineman with an injured calf. I would just guess. I've never tried to do it. Timmy says, why would they give a first-round pick for Josh? Oh, you don't believe me? You don't believe me? You don't believe me, huh? Well, first of all, have you seen the video of Josh Allen in 2020 warming up in the cold with no shirt on in Green Bay? This wouldn't make you want to give it. Look at this dude. And again, Josh Allen is a beast. If you look at the man, he is a mammoth of a man. He's in incredibly great shape. He's incredibly athletic. If you had him lined up with a lot of other football players and you were just betting on by their physique and the way they looked and the way they ran, you would probably bet on this guy. But the proof is in the pudding. And you can say he's been double-teamed and he hasn't had the help on the other side and the pass defense in the secondary has been bad. You could say all that, and I would listen to you with that argument. And he's still young. I mean, the guy could potentially still be progressing. In fact, he probably still is progressing. But, I mean, this is not the article I was talking about. I don't know. I lost the article, whatever. But there was an article that talked about him being traded for a first-round pick from the Lions because the Lions need edge help. So, I don't know. It's out there. Timmy says, United, I am starving. Shaq Griffin release news. Please get that clown out of Duval. Part of me doesn't want to blame Shaq Griffin. And this can lead us to our conversation about Jalen Ramsey, because I do want to talk about Jalen Ramsey. Part of me doesn't blame Shaq Griffin whatsoever, and here's why. Hear me out. What's he going to do, turn down a contract from Urban Meyer to come here and play on that big contract? He had success in Seattle. Just didn't work out. He ended up just not being as good as he was paid. He didn't fake an injury. In fact, I think, if I remember correctly, he was healthy enough to play this year, and the team was just like, thanks, but no thanks. Again, could be wrong, misinformation. Not blaming him. So I don't want to call him a clown, because that's not fair. If you're going to call anyone a clown, you got to call a guy like Jalen Ramsey a clown who faked a back injury. Now, did he probably have a back that wasn't 100% healthy? Probably, because these football players are never 100% healthy. But doing what Jalen did is clown behavior. Shaq Griffin just did not play up to his contract. It's hard for me to hate on him for that. Now, I don't want him back, and I wish him the best going forward, but I just hesitate to, I don't know. You guys know me. I try to think about the players' feelings. Maybe a little too much. Maybe that's my problem. Atford says, we'll tag and trade Taylor and the Broncos for a second. They could have a 1-year discount. Tag. Okay. Okay. I had to think about that for a second. I don't think they would get a discount because think about it. If we tagged him, then he's going to get paid like 16, 17 million. If he gets a deal, it's probably going to be around 14, 15 a year. And you could spread that out over like 3 or 4 or 5 years. So I think it actually would be cheaper if they just let him hit the market. Now, the tag and trade would guarantee that they get him. That's for sure. But the signing and free agency would be cheaper, I think. Red Jet says, just give Little the starts. I reckon he'll soon be better than Juwan Taylor anyways, if he was already competing for the job in training camp. I don't think that Juwan Taylor is that much older than Walker Little, though, is the thing. Like, because I think Juwan Taylor didn't come out as a junior, and Walker Little came out as a fifth-year senior. We'll look it up together, boys. We'll Google search together because we are family. Juwan Taylor, age 25. Walker Little, age 23. Okay, so he's April 1st. He's November 25th. So you got about a year and a half. A year and a half younger for Walker Little. Not that much age difference. Timmy says clown is harsh, but I'm just saying because he's done nothing for us. Timmy, I don't think I've ever seen you backtrack like that before. This might be the first. Someone write this down. I've never seen. This is the most vulnerable I've ever seen Timmy Devil. Let's go, boys. We did it. DTWD says it said a lot that Cam Robinson and one Smoot were in the locker room at the end of the year, and Griffin was not. Yeah, man, that's a Smoot's a guy I feel bad for, man. Hopefully someone takes a chance on him and he makes some money because we all love Smoot, dude. How can you not like Smoot? The dude's gotten better every year. Yeah, I like Smoot. He won't be here, but yeah. Jason America says, yeah, I made a live show. Unfortunately, I'm about to end the live show here in like 5 minutes. It's okay, Jason, because I love the name. Go back and watch the VOD. Or just like I said, I'm going on Twitch after this. So the Twitch link is in the channel description, or just search Jags United, and I'm on there. And I can't decide what I want to play. I'm torn between Rainbow Six, Super People 2, which is a fun little game if you've never seen it before, or just some classic COD ranked. Which is more likely, says Cuddy Green. Calvin Ridley returns and has a 1,000-yard season, or Travon Walker becomes an elite pass rusher in his second year. My opinion, it is much more likely that Calvin Ridley has a 1,000-yard season. He's done it before, so he has precedence of it, and Travon Walker hasn't. So maybe that's an easy answer for some people. But maybe it's easier for someone like Travon Walker who's played a full season and Calvin Ridley who hasn't played in a season and a half. It's a good question, but I would bet on Calvin Ridley for sure. RM Skip says, but would you take the talent that Jalen brings? Regardless of the person, we do need help on the other side. So I was back and forth on the Jalen thing because you guys know I talk about it all the time. Jalen Ramsey was one of my favorite players in the NFL. I loved his swagger, as much as I hate using that word. I loved his moxie. How about that? We'll use that word. I loved his moxie on the field. I loved his trash talk. I loved his play. But I can't get over the way he left here. If you guys haven't been able to, I'm a really nice guy. I'm patient. I'm forgiving. I'm trusting to a fault. But if you burn me, I don't typically give second chances. Not that I won't wish you the best, and not that I won't try to help you even. I just don't want to bet on you again. Fool me twice, shame on me. So I'm good with not bringing Jalen in. I'm good. I'm cool. Let Tyson have the spotlight. He deserves it. And I'm not one of these guys that he deserves it. He could do it. It's not that he could just deserve it. He could do it. He could surpass Jalen Ramsey as a better corner next year. I have no doubt about that. I want to bring in the sideshow that is Jalen Ramsey and overshadow Tyson Campbell. This is coming from one of Jalen Ramsey's biggest fans. I still root for the guy in St. Louis, in LA. So I'm not a hater. I wish him the best. I just don't want him on this team. If I were a fan of a different team, almost any other team, I'm trying to flip through my head. Maybe if I'm the Jets, I don't bring him in. Maybe if I'm obviously the Chiefs, right? I don't know. There's only a handful of teams where I wouldn't want him, but the Jags are one of those teams. They are. I'm heading to Ashika Island after this. All right, cheek clapping. I don't know yet. Listen. I don't know what kind of mood I'm in yet. I got some buddies. I might see what they're doing, but I'll be on Twitch though, so make sure to check that out. Play a Dark Souls type of game. All right, Raiden. Let me tell you. Last time I tried that, I played God of War, the newest one, and I hated it. Hated it. I love puzzles. Don't get me wrong. I love puzzles. Just not for me. I hate having to play a level 7 times and having to learn when to roll, and you're just rolling around in a circle until the guy stops attacking and you hit him twice and you keep rolling. I don't like those games. And maybe I'm selling it short. Fat Boy Shot says, if Tony Baselli says Walker is a starting tackle in this league, I think there's more incentive that Taylor signs somewhere else. I mean, it's hard to go against Tony Baselli. He was one of the greatest. Jaggernaut says, Jalen can't admit mistakes on the field. I hate how he blames teammates. I don't need diva moxie in our locker room. Well said. Good player, though. Timmy says, I can't put that all on Jalen. I can't resolve the front office and the hand they played in his exit. It's the reason why our team got fined to death that year. Dang, you're right. You're right, Timmy, and I should have accounted for that more, maybe. Well said. But I expect those type of good comments out of you, Timmy, so thank you. Robert says, nope. In that 4-pick game against the Chargers, Ramsey would be acting out and rolling out. Good. Robert, good point. Good point. RM Skip, there was a reason, I believe, for that, but I understand your stance. Thank you, RM. You're so understanding. It's going to be interesting with the 2 top college quarterbacks coming to the AFC South, Stroud and the guy from Bama. You guys are, what do you say? You don't think Anthony Richardson's going to be the first pick? There was a guy, CBS Sports, who mocked him being the first pick. Teams are going to fall in love with Anthony Richardson at the combine and the pro days and all that crap. And listen, I think his skill set is amazing. But yeah, I'd rather have one of the other guys. Can't see Doug letting any Ramsey trade happen. Free agency last year, full of culture, guys. Well said, Red Jet. Well said. I think that's spot on, astute, and very good. Listen, guys, thank you. This has been a great show, a lot of fun. Sorry that I took a week or 2 weeks off. I explained the whole soccer situation and baseball and all that. Bad excuse. Listen, I'm not here to make excuses. I can own up to it. I was being lazy. Okay, I'll own up to it. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. RM Skip, thank you for being a member. Callie Jag, thank you for the $5 donation. I really appreciate it. All the people that are in here commenting, Cameron Boisfort, DTWD, Pokey, Jaggernaut, Adsert, Timmy Devil. If I missed you guys, I'm sorry. You guys know that I love you. Red Jet, thank you. I'm going to be on Twitch. The Twitch link is in the channel description. I'm going to jump on, probably take a 5-minute break, do whatever. And then I'll be on. Hope to see you guys on there. We'll be talking Jags a little bit. And, thank you guys again for being here. Follow everything, like everything, subscribe to everything. Tell a friend if you have friends that like the Jags. Tell them that, hey, there's a cool channel out there. I don't know. Word of mouth helps. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.